poor suckers are starving to death.
I'd like to propose a toast.
This is On the Rocks with Alexander, where I drink with your favorite celebrities as we talk about fashion, entertainment, pop culture, reality TV, and, well, that's about it. So pop a cork, lean back, and raise a glass to On the Rocks.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Well, welcome to I Love Gay at Home, and we're here live with Alex Rodriguez from On the Rocks On Air.
Super gay at home.
And I have got my cocktail in my hand, because that's what we do.
I do too. That's how we do.
I have been on Alex's show before, and when I was on his show, on his podcast, that's the shtick, is that everybody, as we're sitting there chatting away, everyone's got a cocktail in hand, so he's amazing.
Everybody's got a cocktail, and you know, we're under self-quarantine, so happy hour can start whenever you wake up.
Oh, absolutely. It may not be quite 5 p.m. yet, but it's happy hour for us.
Yes, it is. Oh God, it has to be something to get us through this.
So tell us about On the Rocks On Air. You know, the show and some of the folks you've had on and so forth.
Yeah, On the Rocks is such a great mixture of celebrities from TV and film, Broadway, music, reality TV, the adult film world, classic Hollywood. It's kind of the American drunker, lower budget version of the Graham Norton show. You never know who's going to show up, who's going to sit next to each other. We talk about entertainment, we talk about life. I like to ask the questions that they're not normally asked. I don't ask the same questions like, oh, how did it feel like, you know, to win an Academy Award? Or what was it like to work with this person? Because that's boring, and we've heard it. We just have a good time, and we talk about random stuff and get drunk.
We do. I can attest to that. But how have you adapted? How have you adapted now that you know, you can't really have people coming in the studio quite so easily, and so it seems like you're still out there entertaining us in the pandemic world.
Well, we've definitely had a shift. You know, I love hosting the show, but I have to tell you, tech is not something I'm good at all. If I had a VCR, it would still be blinking, you know, 12 o'clock. Like, I am not tech savvy. I'm not one to talk on the phone. I don't like to FaceTime. I don't like any of that. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna ride this out and take some time off. Well, you know, creative personalities like us, we can't just sit and take time off. And so I was really missing the show, and I thought, you know what, we can do something different. So I've had to learn a little tech. Thank God for Zoom. And I got my new banner sent to the house, so I'm literally in a corner of a bedroom doing this. And I thought, you know, I don't really want to mix my brand that much. And the brand really is having the in-studio celebrities, because it is that mix of sitting in the same room together. It's putting people next to each other that necessarily would never come across each other in the entertainment field. So what I really wanted to do was, I have all of these friends, and I'm sure that you do too, in the LGBT community, that are out of work. They went from getting cash every night from tips or what have you to literally earning no income. And I have a lot of them in West Hollywood. We know rents are super high, cost of living is super high, so to have any income taken away is pretty dire.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I decided to focus on the nightlife LGBT community that is out of work. So our very first Quarantine and Chill Home Edition, we featured drag queens from all different cities. We had RuPaul's Mayhem Miller on the show. And it was so fun to see the drag queens in their living room. Some really wanted to still get dressed up because they missed doing that. Some were in their boy drag in their living room. We had Rusty Waters from Palm Springs in a bathtub with a face mask. And so what we did is we just talked about, you know, how the culture of drag has had to change and adapt. And so we did quick 10-minute interviews. They were able to put their Venmo ID up on the screen and also give it out so, you know, their fans could tip them. And then this last week, we had go-go boys across the U.S. And I had boys from Chicago, Idaho, Florida, Arizona, Texas, San Diego, Long Beach, Los Angeles. And we got to talk about the go-go boy culture and how it's affecting them, their at-home workouts. And then they showed us their favorite moves. And again, you know, fans could tip them. So it's been a whole different show. And I think we drink even more because we don't have to worry about a designated driver.
That's true. That's fantastic.
But we're able to talk to people. Like a go-go boy in Chicago has a totally different story than a go-go boy in Idaho, you know? And so because of what's happening, we're kind of connecting more personally on a larger scale rather than just celebrities in, Southern California.
Oh, yeah. And especially once you go outside of your siloed small group of Facebook followers and even Instagram can be kind of, once you start getting out beyond that with these things, which you're very good at, you're reaching people globally that haven't necessarily ever seen or heard or touched and felt. And like you said, we are connected much more so than we're, and we're not just connected, but now we're communicating.
That's a really good point. I've seen my demographics of social media definitely change and shift. And we're focusing on a different type of celebrity. Like my personal life celebrity are the drag queens, the go-go boys. In a couple of weeks, we're going to do an episode with DJs from across the U.S. Also, bartenders across the U.S. And it's a whole different conversation that we're having in this kind of place where we're all kind of looking at each other like, what happened to our community?
Yeah.
This is something I don't think anybody from my generation or surrounding generations have really been through.
Well, remember when you used to do things in the real world, when I saw you in Palm Springs right before you were off to parade as the Grand Marshal of Palm Springs Pride?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just like, that gives us hope that we could be back there again in a year and hanging out at the Pride brunch and back to being able to hug and be closer than a foot together,
Yeah, and it's kind of forcing people to look at their brand again, find out, what they're really doing, what kind of content they're putting out there. And a lot of people have had to adapt. The joke is like, what are the Instagram shirtless boys going to do? And that's an honest conversation that we had is you have to change your brand. You can't take 100 shirtless pictures in your living room. You have to think of different ways. You have to think of different talents you have and different groups to reach out to.
Yeah. Well, this is fantastic. And no, I hope that for those folks that haven't heard of you yet, that they subscribe and find you on I know you're very good at Instagram and you tag us each time. So, and your show is live on Facebook, correct?
Yeah. So, and we had gotten to just releasing the episodes on YouTube and Facebook, as well as the audio on iHeartRadio and all the podcasts on Thursdays. But because of what we're going through, we're going back to the live Facebook and YouTube live on Tuesdays. Because, being live and being in our living room and being in the situation, quarantine and chilling, the live aspect really makes a difference.
Hashtag quarantine and chilling. I love it.
Quarantine and chill.
This is perfect.
Of course, if you're stuck with your significant other, it can turn into quarantine and kill.
My husband hasn't killed me yet. Thank God. Well, thank you again for being here with us today, and look forward again to being back in the real world with you.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for everything that you do to support so many business people and personalities and the community at large. I can't wait to see you again. Can't wait to party with you again.
Same
and then
here.
We can share this cocktail in real life.
I love it. Well, thank you again.